These games are coming thick and fast. Newcastle United welcome Tottenham to St James's Park this Tuesday night. And to be honest, I'm still buzzing off that Everton win. Newcastle United getting their first win away from home in the Premier League. So we go into this game full of confidence. Yes, Geordies, welcome back to another episode. There's only one place to start, and that's to say Merry Christmas. Happy Christmas, everybody. It is the 1st of December. Do you know what? I'm disappointed with myself. It's the 1st of December and I haven't even got a little Christmas tree up there yet. I even spent the whole day out shopping yesterday and I was meant to get a Christmas tree, a few decorations for this little box room, and I forgot. So I can only apologize. So today I'm going to order everything off from Amazon, so it will arrive tomorrow. So Wednesday I should have a Christmas tree up. Coming up in this video, we are going to preview Tottenham. We're going to be talking about Tottenham, what kind of season they're having, what to expect at St James's Park, but we are going to discuss Newcastle United. We will be briefly looking back at that Everton game, what I enjoyed about it despite scoring 4 goals. We'll also be predicting some starting 11s and also a scoreline. So if you enjoy this sort of content, like what you see, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I don't think I'm going to reach my target. My target was 10,000 subscribers before the turn of the year. I don't think I'll reach that, but I genuinely appreciate all your support. Where to start? Let's start with that win away to Everton, because what I want to see going into this game and Burnley on the weekend is a little bit of consistency. I want to start by looking at the league table, and I'm going to take away the points for now, because if you look at our league position, you're probably sitting there thinking, well, we're having a terrible season. We're sitting 13th. That's not where we want to be. But if you actually look at the points, and us coming off 2 victories, we're sitting on 18 points, but we're only 4 points away from top 5. So this season, when you look at the league table, it depends how you look at it. You can say, well, we're only 4 points away from getting in that top 5, and there's plenty of football still to be played. We're only at the 1st of December, so there's still plenty of points to make up. And a win against Tottenham will put us on 21 points. That's roughly about 8th, depending on other results. So what I'm trying to say is we're not too far away, guys, and it's still very early in the season. A win against Tottenham will put us above Tottenham, but then we've got Burnley on the weekend. This is a massive opportunity to get 4 consecutive wins in the Premier League. And after that win against Everton, the players should be full of confidence. So let's talk about that win against Everton, because what I want to see going into this game is a little bit of consistency. Can we get that consistent performance over and over again? Because we all know in a one-off game, we can beat it and compete with anybody, but we need to deliver that sort of performance every single game. So hopefully that win against Everton will just break a psychological barrier that seemed to weigh heavily on the squad. And it's funny, innit, because I've been saying it, you guys have been saying it. If you play players in their natural position, you get the best out of them. I've often said this, and do you know what I loved about that Everton performance? It wasn't about the system, it was about the behaviours that Eddie Howe instructed on the players. The behaviours were so different to what we've seen over the past away performances this season. And I've said this in videos before, it's not too much about the system or the formation. It's about the behaviors you ask of your players. That's how you get the best out of them. And that's what creates a winning side. Pick the formation based off the profile of players that you have, but it's the characteristics you ask of those players that really get the best out of them. So do you know how we always speak about, and we've said this probably for a couple of weeks now, drop underperforming players? What I want to see going into this game is rewarding performing players. So you have to start with the goalkeeper, because Aaron Ramsdale should be our number 1 now. We've seen it with our own eyes, the difference it makes. The build-up under pressure is so much better. The confidence and control in and out of possession, so much better. You also have that flexibility in attack. A ball-playing goalkeeper can switch play when needed. He can launch counter-attacks, or he can recycle possession depending on the situation. So having those options gives you different dynamics on how to attack the opposition, which also gives the opposition something to think about, because if you keep on doing the same thing over and over again, the opposition will eventually work you out. And also dynamic fullbacks. Lewis Hall, Tino Livramento, that add width to the attack. They can progress the ball up the pitch for us, but they've also got that recovery pace that we have been lacking. Now, what I want to go through just very briefly before we get on to Tottenham is give you 2 sequences of play on what made us so good against Everton. Let's just bring up this image first. Let's look at Aaron Ramsdale in possession. What do you see on this screen? What's the first thing you notice? It's not composure. It's not Aaron Ramsdale having the ball at his feet. It's the shape of Newcastle United. What I mean by this is, look at Dan Burn, Malik Chow just spreading wide. That allows your fullbacks to push up higher. What does that do? It allows your wingers to push up higher. How often have I said in these videos, have players in advanced positions, because if you don't have players in advanced positions, you'll never break through the opposition. But this is beautiful from Newcastle United from a shape point of view. And this what having Tino Livramento and Lewis Hall does for you. And this is why we're seeing Anthony Elanga look better, because he was playing higher up the pitch. But if we move it on, this is what a ball-playing goalkeeper gives you. Because look at how one ball can just break through the lines. And that happened from us creating width, spreading the pitch and opening the game up. Because what you're doing in this case is opening up Everton's defensive structure. And if we move it on, we create an opportunity from here because we're able to play through the lines. In just 3 or 4 passes of the football, we get into this situation. So what I'm saying is, even though Tino Livramento and Lewis Hall didn't even touch the ball, their position makes an impact on this sequence of play. So I just wanted to touch upon that before we get on to Everton. Now, there's one other thing I want to touch upon. What do I always say about my players? I want my players to never go hiding. I do not mind if my players make a mistake. I'd rather my players demand the ball than go hiding, because as soon as you go hiding, you've got a problem. Now, Lewis Miley was terrific against Everton. Yes, he scored. Yes, he assisted. But it was the ability to control the game and bring a little bit of composure to our overall play that impressed me the most. I want to take you to this sequence because look at him. He receives a ball under pressure and he plays off his first touch. He moves the ball to Tino Livramento. That's good awareness. But this is what I love. He doesn't have much room to play in there. But look at him demanding the ball. Never go hiding. And this is what I was talking about previously. Supporting each other in possession. Being an option. Creating an angle. So he's happy enough to receive the ball under pressure. He stands up his man, opens up his body shape, and wants to play forwards. This is what I'm talking about, guys. This is the difference. Then he creates a little angle for himself, moves down the line, and plays a ball into Tino Livramento. Usually, in those situations, that ball gets put into the corner or out for a throw-in. And just having a player like that can allow you to manage the game better. Just take the sting out of the game. We did that at Everton. So I want to say that going forwards, from not just from Lewis Miley, from everybody that gets selected, just positioning yourself right, doing the right things in possession. It looks dead basic, but it has a massive impact. And the reason why I brought that up, because I really believe against Tottenham and Burnley on the weekend, we can manage the game a lot better. We don't need to be running around like headless chickens. We can have a little bit of composure in possession, just playing the players in advanced positions, getting your players in the correct positions, then they can be innovative. But we welcome Tottenham to St. James's Park, and our record against Tottenham is actually very good. In our last 5 games, we're unbeaten. And another good omen going into this game, Newcastle United haven't lost any of their last 10 home midweek games that kicked off 7 p.m. or later since defeat to Crystal Palace in February 2021. So we should go into this game full of confidence with that crowd behind us, with the win against Everton, and with that record in midweek games, combined with our record against Tottenham, Tottenham should be dreading St. James's Park on Tuesday night. Now, if you look at Tottenham, since we beat them, they've played 6 games. They've only won 1 out of their last 6 games since that EFL Cup win. They got beat on the weekend against Fulham, and that was Fulham's first away win in the Premier League. And Tottenham fans started to boo. So I see this game as a massive opportunity for Newcastle United to get 3 consecutive Premier League wins. It's not going to be easy. Spurs can turn up at any moment. They've got quality in their side. They've got a few injuries. Madison, Kulusevski, Solanke's still injured, but they do have quality. And in fact, their away form in the Premier League has actually been decent. So although they don't do well at St. James's Park recently, in the away table, Spurs sit second. It's their home form that's causing them problems. In the home table, Spurs sit second from bottom. Let's talk about what you can expect from Tottenham's point of view. Now, I'm going to be honest. I don't feel Thomas Frank has found a winning formula yet. He started well, but we're starting to see that inconsistency and bad results and bad form creeping in. And I had a funny feeling it would come because Tottenham have scored 21 Premier League goals this season with an XG of just 11.9. That's massively overachieving your XG. So that goes to tell you that they are scoring chances that they wouldn't usually score, and they're not creating very much. So eventually that's not realistic enough to sustain over a longer period. And if you want to break it down to their home and away XG, their home XG is 6 and they've scored 8 goals. Their away XG is 5.9, but they've scored 13 goals. So that goes to tell you they're not creating quality chances. So what I'm trying to say is Tottenham have scored a lot of goals without getting into dangerous positions. So ideally, you want to be overachieving your XG because you want to score more than you create, but you don't want to be such large distances. Just to compare them to the top of the table teams, Arsenal, Manchester City, and Chelsea are also overperforming the XG, but with less degree. Arsenal are overperforming by 2.7, City 2, and Chelsea 0.5. Newcastle are actually overperforming their XG by 0.4, which is very good. Now our XG is massively improving. We've got an XG now of 16.9. We've scored 17 goals in the Premier League. What I'm saying is this dry run of form for Tottenham was kind of to be expected, because when you're overperforming your XG by such large amounts, once the goals dry up, you're not creating enough just to sneak a win. And I mean, their XG numbers in the last 6 games, they hardly create. Even if you have a look at this graph, Tottenham sit 4th for goals, 19th for shots, 1st for conversion rate, and 17th for expected goals. So what I'm trying to say is the math ain't mathin'. The inconsistencies is inconsistent. That's the only consistent thing that Tottenham have had this season. So Spurs are being a little bit Spursy. They're scoring from opportunities that they shouldn't score, but they don't create very much. So I expect us to really have a go at Tottenham, get on the ball, create things, try and make things happen, because they're there to be beaten. They're vulnerable at the minute. And we're seeing that against Fulham and against Arsenal and Chelsea. They just lacked any desire to win. So what I'm trying to say is we cannot give them confidence. Win your individual battles in this game and you'll win the game. So what can you expect from Tottenham from an attacking point of view? Because what I'm trying to say is Tottenham have been really efficient, but not a very good attacking team. Now, what I've seen from Tottenham this season is quite strange, because now I'm not surprised Thomas Frank hasn't found any consistency in performances, because he's continuously changed personnel or system. In their last 6 games, their midfield is constantly changing, their system's constantly changing, their wide players are constantly changing. So they haven't been able to find those partnerships on the pitch. But he has found a main tactic on how he wants his team to perform, and that's the main tactic is to attack based on crosses into the box. Thomas Frank wants his players to play balls in from areas where he believes they can be more effective. So that's either out wide or in the half spaces. Now, what he also wants is his central midfielders and his fullbacks to underlap and create runs into the box. And we're seeing a similar thing at Brentford. It was all about attacking the half spaces. Brian Mbeumo, Johan Wissa would always continuously attack the half spaces. Now, what he's doing it with at the minute is their central midfielders or their fullbacks. So their fullbacks don't really overlap, they underlap instead and look for cutbacks when they get to the in and around the 18-yard box. Now, what I have found with Thomas Frank, and it is a very interesting tactic, is that he wants a lot of players into the box, offensively and defensively. So you will see 6 to 7 players in the box when he's attacking, but also 6 to 7 players in the box when he's defending. So it doesn't surprise us that Tottenham have conceded the most shots from outside the box in the Premier League this season. What we've seen from Thomas Frank is he's a lot more pragmatic than what Ange Postecoglou was. Now, what he does want to do is create numerical advantages in the final third. So that is something that we need to be wary of. But look, I don't fear Tottenham, if I'm being brutally honest. We're coming in this full of confidence. We've got a great record against Tottenham. We've got a great record at St. James's Park in midweek under the lights. And Tottenham have some decent players. If I'm Thomas Frank, I'm starting Lucas Bergvall, Pape Matasar, Archie Gray, because I think they're the guys that will get them out of this mess. When you look at Bentancur, Paulinho, yes, they're good players. They'll get the foot in, but they're not going to give you much in control of games. So I do expect Tottenham to set up like we think they will. Pedro Porro right back, Christian Romero, Mickey van der Ven at centre back, Destiny Udogie at left back. Now, the one position where Tottenham have struggled to find any consistency is that left-hand side. They've tried Lucas Bergvall, they've tried Odegaard, they've tried Matthias Tell. It hasn't really found any clicking formula. So I do honestly believe Newcastle United can run all over Tottenham. We can bully them a little bit. What I want to see from Newcastle United is there's a way of going through games and managing games by creating little mini games within the big game. And you can do that in and out of possession. Let's talk about in possession for a second. Let's see the balls in the wide areas. You create a mini game by putting your 3 against their 2, having your winger, your fullback, and one of your midfielders, creating overloads, and then you won that mini battle, and then you move it on. Win the next mini battle. Although you need to win your individual battles, you can win a mini battle as a collective. Does this all make sense to you? These are the little things that managers work on. Let's talk about Newcastle just for a second before we predict the starting 11, because I just want to see one more of the same. Aggressive off the ball, being compact, being difficult to beat, but having players in advanced areas. So when you do overturn the ball, you've got a forward pass. Now, remember Bournemouth away where Lewis Miley got so much stick because He didn't. Everybody was saying he was playing side to side. He was playing backwards. What did I say after that game in my review? I said the only reason he wasn't playing forwards is because we had nobody in advanced positions to play forwards to. We played with a back five that game. This is why I always say when we play back five, completely changes everything we do because it's a defensive back five. If you look at our average positioning against Brentford, focus on Nick Valdemara. His average position was in our own halfway line. Now look at his average position against Everton. It's in the opposition's half. What have I continuously said on these videos? Get Nick Valdemara higher up the pitch because that squeezes you higher up the pitch. So when you do overturn the ball, you've got players in advanced areas. Oh, it's beautiful. You can play forward passes. This is what I'm talking about. So when you have proper players in their proper positions, it impacts the whole pitch. Because when you've got Tino Livramento starting position higher, that means Anthony Elanga's starting position's higher. And that means he's closer to Nick Valdemara. Nick Valdemara's not getting isolated. So football can be simple at times. So when I say I want a little bit more of the same, that pretty much gives away my starting 11. But I want to talk about Nick Valdemara for a second because don't listen to any outside noise coming out the Bayern Munich camp because he has been simply brilliant. 5 goals in his opening 10 Premier League games. And if we provide him service, he will score goals. Before we get on to the starting 11, this was a team sheet last time we played Tottenham. Now, if you focus on Tottenham for a second, they had a makeshift centre-half because Paulinho played centre-back. Kevin Danzo also played. So I do expect them to be a little bit defensively better with Mickey van der Ven and Christian Romero. And Mohamed Kudus didn't play either, so I do expect him to come back into the side. But if you look at our team, Dan Burn left back, Emil Kraft right back, Joe Willock playing, Jacob Ramsey started, and then we also had Aaron Ramsdale on the side. So I do honestly believe we've got another level to go to what we seen last time we played Tottenham. So this would be my starting 11. There's only one change I would make from Everton. Remember what I said at the start of the video? Yes, we can drop underperforming players, but let's reward performing players. Aaron Ramsdale in goal. Look, we're seeing it against Everton. It speaks for itself. The back four to stay the same, get some consistency in your side, and I think that's what Eddie Howe will be looking for, and then probably rotate against Burnley. Now, I would bring Sandro Tonali back in, but instead of Joe Linton. I think we can really control this game, and Sandro Tonali's energy in the middle of the pitch could just be too much for Tottenham. Lewis Miley has to start because what he brought and what I seen against Everton was simply sensational. I showed you clips at the start. Just somebody demanding the ball, being an option for a teammate, wanting to play through the lines, creating some intricate passing sequences in the middle of the pitch that allows us to progress a ball up the pitch. I would definitely keep Anthony Elanga in the side. And I think the difference with Anthony Elanga was his starting position was a little bit higher. So when he did receive the ball, he can be a little bit more innovative in that final third. When he's a little bit deeper, you've got to be a little bit more cautious. I think we're starting to see that with Anthony Elanga a little bit. But against Everton, he was aggressive. He was direct. He wanted the ball and he was trying to make things happen. And I've said this before about my wingers. I don't mind you taking risks. I want you to take risks because if you don't take risks, you won't get the reward. And those are the players that will need to take risks. We don't want our defender or goalkeeper taking risks. That's on Anthony Elanga. So when he does lose the ball, it's not, oh, shit, throw everything out the pram. We're expecting him to lose the ball because he's the one that needs to take risks in possession. Then I would keep Harvey Barnes in the side. I don't think he was very good against Everton, and it's the only game in the past 5 games that he hasn't had a goal or assist. But I don't think he's been poor enough to take out the side, and I don't think Anthony Gordon has done enough just to miss one game. But I do fear that Anthony Gordon might start this game. And then Nick Valdemara up front because what? Who else we got? But look, guys, there's the end of the video, and I'm going to go for a Newcastle United 2-0 win. Exactly what we're seeing in the Cup. Do you know what? I'm going to say it. I fancy Anthony Elanga to score. I think we can really get some joy in the wide areas because of our dynamic fullbacks. But the way Tottenham has set up in the past 2 games, they've played this kind of 4-2-2-2 formation where they've really narrowed their shape. So we can get so much success in those wide areas. And that's why I fancy Anthony Elanga to score. But I want to hear from you guys. What do you make of that Everton game? What do you expect in this Tottenham game? Do you expect Eddie Howe to rotate the side? Let me know in the comments below. But if you've enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And throughout every episode in December, I want to end by saying Happy Christmas.